Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. It has been quite some time since I last sat down and filmed a video. The semester has ended and I am now home for winter break, so I have some more time on my hands. Today's topic for the video, the sit down video, will be social media. I kind of just want to talk about my own experience with social media, but also how I perceive it among people my age who use it, and just kind of ways to find a better balance on how you navigate and use different social media applications in your life. I think it's wonderful that we have iPhones and I take pictures and I post stories, and you know, I'm not saying that I don't do those things, but I think that sometimes there's this pressure or maybe this need for validation and documentation where we whip out our phones to show what we're doing and showcase who you're hanging out with or what you're eating for breakfast. And I think it takes away some of the personal, private moments. At least for me, I consider myself to be a more private person, the way I live my life. And I felt like when I had social media, I often felt that urge to document a lot of that. So just a little bit of backstory on my own experience with social media. I actually went off of social media completely for 6 months. Basically, the realization I had was I was at a live OneRepublic concert and it was an incredible experience. The band was amazing. The company I was with were great friends, and you know, you're in this wonderful atmosphere and you just look around and it's this huge lawn, the concert venue, and there's hundreds of phones in the air and people are practically watching the show through the screens of their phones. And for some reason that just didn't sit well with me. I went home that night and it made me upset to think that we were kind of all living to document our experiences. I went home that night and I slept on it, and the next morning I woke up and I said, you know what, I'm deleting these apps from my phone. And I tried it for a few weeks, and at first I was like, what am I doing? I would use social media when I woke up and it would be the last thing I checked before I went to bed. But as time progressed and I got used to not having them, I noticed that I had more time to do things. We have screen time and we get those notifications, but I think that they don't really set in. It's very different when you spend your time other ways and act on that and you know you have time to do other things. I got so much time back just on account of not checking those little apps on my phone. The experience was great, but then I came to the decision where I almost felt this temptation, like, what am I missing out on? What are people posting? Do I have recent notifications? And I didn't like that I had that temptation. It almost felt like this anxiety to kind of like check my phone again, and that piece of FOMO, fear of missing out. With that, I kind of pulled the plug and said, you know what? Delete. I didn't like that temptation or that need to be on my phone. I liked feeling present and engaged, and I spent 6 months offline. By the time that I had applied to colleges, it felt like that was a key piece in meeting people and joining class of 2022 group Facebook groups and GroupMe's, and I didn't have that. So I remade those accounts and jumped back into social media. But I had this new outlook that I encourage everyone to find, and that's partly why I'm making this video, because it was such a wonderful experience. It took a lot of getting used to, but I feel like now I have found the right balance. I think it's great to keep in touch with people. I really do. I like seeing what my friends are up to, my family is up to, but at the end of the day, I can really just give them a call or FaceTime and say, hey, how's it going? Or like, what are you making for dinner? I think there's other ways to engage and be socially present. And apart from just social media, I think it's interesting to touch on just phones in general. I feel like there's so many times where we use phones as a crutch, maybe, whether we're out to dinner and there's a lagging conversation, or, you know, before I could drive, waiting to be picked up and taking my phone out so it didn't look like I was awkwardly just standing there. But it almost just fills a void, and I think by not putting ourselves in those uncomfortable situations, we're missing out on a lot of different things. Another piece of the social media that I wanted to talk about in today's video was realness and authenticity. I saw this TikTok trend where you post Instagram photos and then you talk about the reality behind them. So someone will post a photo where they look amazing and then they'll say, little did everyone know, like 24 hours before, my boyfriend and I broke up and I was a crying mess. Some circumstance that, you know, you would never ever pick up on from this well-crafted photo. And it's interesting to hear about the real story behind each photo. That was another thing. When I would post a photo, I would like get like this adrenaline rush. And at the end of the day, I kind of would think to myself, well, what am I really posting for? And it was always a means of validation or approval. For people to see this, for people to think that, for people to believe that. And I didn't like living my life that way. I wanted to live it for me, and I wanted to have those personal moments. Yeah, maybe I snapped a picture and kept that on my camera roll, but moments that were for me at the end of the day. I just want to remind people that oftentimes social media is a highlight reel, and I like that terminology because we don't show the bad parts of our lives. I think we're moving in the right directions, but we're more inclined to show the good and to show how fantastic things are. I think it's really important to remember that and remind ourselves of that, because we can get so caught up in the filters and the beauty. And the thing is, at the end of the day, life isn't filtered, it's unfiltered. And that is partly what is so incredible about people as we go through things. You don't always see that. There's power to taking a break, taking a step back. But whether it's for a day, a few hours, however much you can allow for yourself, I think there is such benefit to removing yourself from being online on these applications and just taking some time for yourself. Write down what you're grateful for. I practice gratitude journaling sometimes in the mornings and sometimes at night, and it makes me feel so good, and it reminds me of all the good that I do have in my life. And whenever I feel doubts or I don't feel good about something, I have that to look back on. I guess that's kind of all I had to say. That is the end of today's video. I hope you guys enjoyed. Thank you so much for watching, and have a great day.